Welcome back to the ordinary meeting of Council on Wednesday the 16th of December. We've had a few technical difficulties, so we will be having the meeting in two parts. Part one is already on YouTube and part two will come up later on. So we will continue from where we left off. I believe Councillor Eckel had a final question before we move on to other councillors. Thank you, Councillor
Yes, thank
Eckel.
you, Mr Mayor. I'll be as quick as I can. MRCC, if they could create a bylaw similar to Campaspe Council, it's bylaw 364 if you'd like to know, whereby campers must maintain a clear camp at all times on public land within the municipality, proving and this is the ranger as advice to me, proving or getting one person within a camp to admit to dropping a can or not burying toilet paper is very difficult. This authorisation allows the officer to issue an infringement notice to everyone at that camp if it's a mess. Much easier and much more effective. Can we examine that opportunity?
General Manager Development.
Through you, Mayor, we can take a look at that and see what's possible.
Thank you. Councillor Di Pieri.
Through you, Mr Mayor, are there any formal or informal consultations about the possible demolition and reconstruction of the artist studio on the riverfront?
General Manager Community, would you like to tackle that one?
Through you, Mr Mayor, there's no plans to demolish that I'm aware of.
May I repeat it?
Do you have another question or a clarification?
A clarification.
Yep, that's fine.
I said formal or informal consultations.
Not that I'm aware of. I know there are discussions with regard to some maintenance of the building with regard to a wall that's causing some problems.
Oh, thanks. Thank you for the answer. My next question is, are there any administrative measures, Mr Mayor, Council can adopt to avoid having to allocate on difficult drought years extraordinary amounts of taxpayers' money and ratepayers' money to remove sand from the roads to the west of Mildura? Are there administrative measures that can be adopted to avoid having to spend that kind of money?
General Manager Development. Thank you.
My final one, would it be possible, through you, Mr Mayor, again, to do a bit of a stock take of dead trees around town and have them removed as quickly as possible and see a plan for their replacement in the next planting season?
General Manager
Through you, Mayor, the way we manage that is through our customer request system. So jobs are prioritised in terms of cleaning up empty bays where there might be dead trees, and then they are replanted in the planting season.
Thank you, General Manager Development.
I am done with the questions, but I'm not clear on this answer. May I seek further clarification?
If you seek clarification, yep.
Well, my question is, through you, is if we can have a very proactive plan to do a stock take of all the dead trees, particularly inside the precincts of the city, with the tourist heart of the town.
Through you, Mayor, that's effectively what that is. It's a plan of prioritising all the jobs that we have to do in that respect, and they'll be all listed on a schedule and the crews will get round to doing those.
Thank you, General Manager Development. Councillor Arney.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I believe that in August of this year, the councillors at the time voted to recognise a climate emergency. And I'd like to know if Mildura Rural City Council has a climate emergency policy, and if not, why not? Because I'd also like to know, if they do not have one, why would the council announce an emergency without backing the notion with beneficial policy, significant action, greater than simply reducing emissions?
General Manager Community, would you like to
Through you,
tackle that
Mr
one?
Mayor. Council has an overarching sustainability approach to a lot of things in regard to the environment, including reducing greenhouse emissions, or basically in their energy costs, and which it monitors each year. In terms of a specific policy in regard to that part of the environment, that would be something we'd have to further develop.
Councillor Arnie, any more questions?
Yes, please, Mr Mayor. Thank you. I'd like to know if the Meridian Road between the Sturt Highway and the Mildura Road is a Mildura Rural City Council road, and if so, is there an actionable plan to seal the road to create a viable and beneficial heavy transport detour that would reduce the number of trucks that travel through Mildura, Irempool and Redcliffs?
Through you, Mayor, we'll take that one on notice.
Thank you. Any more questions, Councillor Arnie?
That's all I have. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Power, if you have some questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Mr. Mayor, with new parent groups now going back to face-to-face, as they were, when can we expect library story times in all of our libraries to return to face-to-face for our community parents?
General Manager Community.
Through you, Mr Mayor, it will be early in the new year. We don't normally do story time in January because of school holidays and so forth, but normally we do it in February, but I'm sure they'll bring that back online as soon as they can. Obviously there's some COVID situations we need to overcome, but that is actually being planned as we speak. Well, maybe not as we speak, but during working hours it's being planned.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
One more, Councillor Power, yeah?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This question comes from the community as well. I'd like to know why the irrigation system on 15th Street between Sandylong and Benetook, why it was not repaired after a discarded cigarette butt melted part of the dripper system. A member of our community, Mr. Tom Fagan, has told me he lodged his concern with council several times since the incident. Now the juniper plantations, which were quite popular and large, have struggled to survive and are being removed. Can you clarify for me if the irrigation system will be repaired and if a replacement planting will be installed in the medians? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Power. General Manager Development.
Through you, Mayor, I can confirm that the irrigation system was actually fixed when the issue was raised, and part of what we're doing along that strip is actually gradually and progressively replacing the turf and the plantings there. And the main reason we're doing that is because at the moment we have to do lane closures and full-on traffic control for the type of plantings we have to be maintained and pruned. So we're progressively changing to something that is much more cost-effective in terms of maintaining and pruning. So that's the reason you're seeing that.
I'm satisfied with that answer for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Power. Thank you, General Manager Development. Councillor Reynolds.
Through you, Mr Mayor, thank you. Just further to Councillor De Pieri's question about the Riverfront Gallery and not necessarily having a plan to demolish it, can we please develop a short-term plan for the maintenance and upkeep of the Riverfront Gallery in light of the fact that it will be a building right next door to our new powerhouse precinct that will no doubt be attracting thousands of visitors who will also be visiting that gallery?
Thank you, Councillor Reynolds. General Manager Development.
Through you, Mayor. Yes, our staff are inspecting that as we speak, and they will come up with a list of potential projects that can help keep that in decent shape.
General Manager, Community, I believe you would like to add to that as well?
A supplementary.
Supplementary,
Mr.
that's
Mayor.
great, excellent.
There is some discussions in regard to a larger project that was looking at where that would fit into the scheme of things, in regard to, you know, what the group would like to see happen. So they're the discussions, and I would hazard to guess they're discussions that Councillor Tapiri was alluding to before. But there is a project that we're looking at that encompasses what that would do. Obviously, it's linked to some possible funding, and I think that's basically where we're going. So there's a short-term fix the wall, and then there's a longer-term plan of where that would fit into, and that would come before council when we've got something to bring to you.
Thank you, General Manager, Community, and Councillor Reynolds. Councillor Milne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My first question is in regard to the $10 million funding for Mildura South. Is there an amount that the council is expected to contribute to that $10 million?
General Manager, Community.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, not at this stage. Bearing in mind that council has actually contributed a significant amount of money to the first stage, and obviously continues to support it in kind with the project management components of what we have to manage internally. So there is a contribution in terms of our management of the project, but not so much in terms of the scope of the project that the 10 million has been allocated. Bearing in mind we haven't received the service agreement or the parameters of that funding yet. We're going off the assumptions of what we've been advocating for, that's how that will be maintained, but there's no request at this stage for additional funding.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Another question, Councillor Milne.
The other question I've got is the plan for Elstead. That's been brought up time and time again over the last 20 years. Where is that at the moment to actually get it into some sort of operational order?
General Manager, Community.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there is some very preliminary plans in the heritage study, I believe, but there's nothing formal at this stage. Well, nothing that we could consider to be a project in terms of a plan of what to actually do with the building.
Thank you, General Manager, Community. Would you like another question, Councillor?
Yeah, a question along that line is, can we have a plan done? It has sat there for, well, I think it's probably 16 years, 14 years, somewhere around there. And it really does need to be addressed. It's an eyesore. It's a small project. To fix that up, you know, you're talking $300,000 or $400,000 to turn it into something very nice and something useful. And can we please make some moves very quickly along those lines? I think 14 or whatever years it is long enough to wait.
General Manager, Community.
Normally, those sort of projects will be dealt with through our Capital Works program.
Thank you. Another question, Councillor Milne.
I'll take that as a yes. I might pay for that later. I'm just wondering, have we made any moves in regard to harvest labour? Because the harvest is actually getting closer, and there's been a bit of information out and some moves by the federal government, but I don't think it's still not dealing with the issue of illegal workers that are here, and they're working very hard in our community. And I just kind of think they deserve a go. And so I'm wondering, are we able to sort of move that conversation along with government or relevant departments to see if they can actually work their way to stay in Australia in a win-win?
General Manager, Development. Thank you.
Through you, Mayor, we've been invited to a number of forums for discussion on this, but there's been nothing tangible really for councils to become involved in. We can get, as we spoke about at a previous council meeting, we're preparing an update for councillors to come to a forum. We're planning on February forum to let you know where things are at and what is happening. But that's as much as I can tell you at this point.
That's it. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Milne. CEO Philpott would like to comment on that too.
So to use our General Manager's expression, it's a supplementary that I'm adding, but we have certainly in the past advocated with the various levels of government with regard to the importance of harvest labour, seasonal labour for our community, but also the importance of their conditions being appropriate and so on. So in the interim, I'd say there'd be no impediment in us writing again and raising those issues while we're in the process of those other forums.
Because, if you'll indulge me, around that point, there's issues of human slavery and people, they're real people out there. They've got parents, they've got children, they've got relatives, and some of those are being